I never would have expected this. I had climbed for a very long time and was not very good.
And you've gotten pretty good, I would say.
Maybe I'm just more passionate about sport climbing because I like to create. My goals are to give back to the community, making the guidebook, documenting that stuff.
Hey everybody, welcome to another Icebox session. My name is Sean Cassidy and we are in conversation with Nova Scotia rock climbers. Today's guest needs no introduction really. Todd Foster has contributed immensely to the climbing scene here over the last 25 years or so. He's written multiple guidebooks, produced an award-winning climbing film that has toured the globe, and opened up hundreds of boulder problems and boulder climbing routes across the province, focusing on moderate grades that are accessible to everyone. So grab your favorite homemade bouldering pad and get comfortable. It's time to enter the Icebox. Well, thanks for showing up. We've climbed like twice maybe in here.
Yeah. It's the Icebox is hard if I recall.
Well, I was remembering your old wall, the grotto, which was a lot harder, I think, steeper.
It was, yeah. It was, the grotto was really hard. Yeah.
Do you miss that wall?
I do miss the grotto. But I tell anyone that's thinking about building a wall, I'm like, you get bored of it, especially if you're climbing on it alone.
Yeah. It's not for everybody. Like,
yeah, you
have to be particularly motivated. And I guess I am that way because I've used this since I put it in.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'm excited to chat with you because you are one of the most requested guests, actually. When I've asked people who you would like to listen to, hear about history, it would be Todd Foster.
People haven't heard enough.
Toddles. You'd think so, but no.
Yeah.
They want more. They want more.
Crazy.
Yeah. But my sense is, and maybe I'm wrong, but my sense is a lot of people in the community know you primarily because of your guidebooks. 3 guidebooks now. One rope climbing guidebook that I think came out in 2019.
Yes.
Maybe?
Yeah.
You did one for Digby Neck.
Yeah.
And a couple of years ago, you did one for Halifax Region.
Mm-hmm.
And you're working on a 4th one now. So I think people know your name from that, and maybe they're curious, what's for those that are maybe just coming on the scene in recent years, like who the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
Maybe just to start there, what motivated you to dig into producing guidebooks? Because man, it is a lot of work.
It's so much work. I guess the rope guide, like it was never on my radar to do guidebooks. I think we talked about it a bunch, but I don't think I ever really took that leap. It was I guess it was never really a driving factor. I was interested. We should have them. We should always, I've done little ones. I get, now I'm going to backtrack. I have been doing.
You've always been interested.
Yeah. I've always been interested, but I don't think I wouldn't have. It wasn't me that decided to do the rope guide. It was Alex Saucy who I partnered with on that.
Right.
He was working with Matt McPhee.
Yeah.
And Alec had.
You mean like working?
He's a professor at SMU. Alec was working with him and was talking about. I don't want to upset previous guidebook authors in case they hear this. But I think he felt like that it was hard to know that what was lacking was it was hard to know where to go if he were sort of like just starting out or wanted to go top roping with his daughter, or there was a little bit more. And I think there had been so many new crags as well on top of that had so many new routes that had been done. And he was talking to Matt about it, and Matt's like, and saying he would be interested in doing a guidebook, and he's like, you should talk to Todd. And so he set us up, introduced us. We met at Good Robot, had a beer, and he sounded like the perfect partner. It was like he was really driven. And so
maybe for context, what most people probably know, but I wrote a book back in 99, 2000, 2001 maybe. And by the time you guys got around to doing a new one, like what's the math on that? 15 years had passed. Lots of new crags had been developed.
Yeah.
Technology had changed in terms of how to produce a book, know. And I was looking at your book before this chat, and one of my favorite parts of it is the photography in there, which I think is by and large Matt's work, right? Color, beautiful, colorful shots, climbing shots, inspiring photos.
Yeah. So, probably I'd have to look through, but yeah, the bulk of it's Matt's, some of it's mine. Yeah, that was great. I loved working with him on that. The cover photo was a great.
Oh, with Anne, yeah,
great story.
Yeah, what's the deal on that? I was wondering. I was like, did she brush her hair like up on the root for that or something? She's all well coiffed and looking styling.
Like, because I come from the film industry, it's like, oh, well, dress in bright colors. Yeah. Make sure if you want a photo to look nice, like dress nice and make the colors pop. It'll be more interesting, easier to work with. Matt was going to shoot from the. I was out there to help support. I was like, this is the route I think we should shoot for the cover. It sort of feels like that encapsulates Nova Scotia rope climbing.
Yep, and that's really mea culpa is the route she's on.
Yep. He was, if you're looking at the face, he was on climbers. He wanted to wrap down climbers left, and I was like, no. So I rigged a line. I let him, I don't know if he went down it or not. I don't recall, but I rigged a line on the right and I was like, trust me, shoot this way.
This is the shot.
We're going to get the sunset coming around. The light's going to be across her face as she reaches up around that roof. She's going to be looking right in through it. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
This is the place. So I'd rigged a couple lines. I went down with him. And when he got down and he's like, oh yeah, this is the spot.
So Matt may have taken the photo, but you were the mastermind behind that shot.
Absolutely, yeah. The director.
Credit where credit is due.
I'm good at I think I was good at
bossing people around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
directing.
It's a superpower.
Setting up a situation where you knew something would happen. That would be cool.
Yeah. Cool. I think one thing that I'm impressed with, I think is kind of cool, is all these guidebook projects you've had partners to do them.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Halifax one you did with Graham Reed, I think.
Yep.
And the Digby one, Rob Grandy was helping you with that one.
Yeah.
So that was conscious on your part to share the workload, I guess, but also get other input and just engagement from other climbers.
Yeah. I'm hoping that I'll find the person that will pick up the task after me. We'll do the next volume.
You're
biggest
doing succession planning.
Yeah.
Huh,
yeah.
Cool.
I hope.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Well,
the biggest thing.
Rob and Graham need to be warned. They're on.
I think I told them.
They're on for the duration.
The biggest thing I came out after finishing the rope guide was that it was exhausting. I was tired. I was done. But then I was like, oh man, I've learned so much. And there was a lot of learning to get to that point. I was like, it would be a shame to lose knowledge. Right? So it was so we came...
Like what? What things were you learning?
Like graphic design and layout and, just the efficiencies of going out and taking pictures and writing descriptions and how you follow up on that. All that takes time to figure out, to do. Layout on the book, printing, approaching advertisers, the financial side of it.
So you're leveraging what you learned from the first guide into the subsequent ones and sharing that with other people so they know what to do next time.
Yeah.
Cool. And I understand. So the one you're working on now is Eastern Shore. And I think, is Zach on board for that? I feel like he was maybe going to help or maybe not sure if he wanted to be bossed around by you as much. I'm not want to put words in Zach's mouth here, but.
Oh, you've talked to Zach about
it? No.
I don't think I've scared him off yet.
Good.
I'm probably getting harder to work with, actually.
Yeah, it's you're becoming more curmudgeon-y.
I'm feeling more... I'm feeling the time crunch.
Okay.
Now.
Right.
I have...
What is your time?
I had... When I started the Digby one, I'm like, okay, this is going to be 5 bouldering... I'm going to do 5 bouldering guides. I'm going to give myself 10 years.
Oh, okay.
I think I can do it in 10 years. I don't think I'm on track.
Right.
But
Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
yeah.
So we've been talking about kind of your current and recent endeavors with the whole guidebook stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, a lot of people who have listened to this other episodes of this podcast, they're pretty interested in how people got started, especially older people like
Mm-hmm.
you and I and others. Because I guess it's a bit different than how maybe people approach the sport now.
Yeah.
And my recollection is that when I moved here, I think around 95, I think you were just getting started at that point and you were climbing with like Frank Armstrong
Yeah.
and Deb Stover, maybe Harry Fisher, maybe. I don't know. What was going on then? What caught your interest back then and how were you doing it?
There was where I was working, a good friend I was working with, this guy she was dating at the time, Phil D'Entremont was his name. He had taken her out rock climbing. They went up to Eagle's Nest.
Oh, I love
And she
that
was
place.
she's like, oh, Todd, you would love this. You should, Phil will definitely love to take you out rock climbing. And I was like, rock climbing? What's that? I'm like, what? That sounds interesting. Sure. And Phil took me out to Eagle's Nest. And he set up a top rope. I had like running shoes or something like that, and he had a harness for me and we top roped the climb. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I don't even know if I got to the top or how it
doesn't
went.
matter.
I don't have much of a recollection of the actual physical climbing, but I remember I was engaged. I thought it was cool. And at the time, Dal had the wall up in the field house, that little wall, and I had a membership at Dal, and I was like, oh, this is something I can do inside in the winter, when I can't get outside and do the other things I like. I didn't even, at that point, I wasn't even thinking rock climbing was something I would do outside. It was like, oh, I'll just do this. It's another physical activity. And I was, playing around on that wall in the field house. And I think that's when I must have met Deb Stover and that crew that was running Climb Nova Scotia at that time. And then went outside with them, out to Eagle's Nest another time. And then that's where I met Frank Armstrong, who was walking. He was walking along, caught a bus out there, walking along the base. He was he was working at the time for the Daily News, the newspaper.
Okay.
So he was in the news media like I was at the time. And so we kind of hit it off and we became climbing partners.
Neat.
Yeah. And we learned to rock climb together outside with these shitty books.
Really? You learned off of book?
Yeah.
But that guy who took you at first, Phil
D'Entremont, yeah.
D'Entremont, he showed
I think
you
that was the only time we went out together.
Really? And the rest of it, you kind of figured out how to rig a top rope and how to tie a figure eight.
Yeah, out of these books.
Wow.
Yeah.
Zero instruction, more or less.
So slow. So slow to learn. But I don't think I would change it I wouldn't give it up for anything. Like there's something about learning in that way that people don't learn like that anymore,
Yeah. Oh,
like
man.
reading a book and looking at all these super whack anchors, and it was a book like it was British climbing, so I was like, I think it was about Gritstone or
Freedom
something.
of the Hills or something.
Well, not even that. I can't remember what the book was about anchors, and it's like craziest rigging to build an anchor.
The horn.
Yeah, yeah. But you learned a lot that way.
Huh. And it was just you and Frank bumbling along.
Yeah. I think, God, I remember I vaguely recall a time we rode at Columbus Wall, and I think we ran into you out there. All I remember from it was that we were taking forever to set up a top rope. Like it took us half a day to set up a top rope out there, and I think you might have finished your climbing day, come in after us, and left before us. Before
you were building an anchor still.
Yeah,
crazy. Okay, so Eagle's Nest. I thought you might have been dabbling there in the beginning. That's kind of where a lot of people started, and the benefit of that place is it had easy routes for people to climb, accessible for learners, top rope anchors and whatever. And maybe it was a while after that, but Sean came and built Ground Zero probably within a few years of you starting to climb. Is that
Yeah, I don't.
accurate?
My recollection of that, like of my recall and how much time passed back then, is not good.
It's compressed.
Or maybe it's expanded. Like it felt like it was a really long time, but I don't know that it was. You know,
I know what you mean.
I guess if I really think about it, I think Frank and I would have climbed together maybe like 2 summers, like 2 years. Yeah, something like that. And then I think maybe Ground Zero would have opened around there. So yeah, not long after I would have met. Because was that the time that is that when you moved? You came here for university, right?
No. Bonnie came here for university. I moved here to join her.
Right.
It was going to be temporary, but we ended up getting pretty invested here. At least I did, particularly in climbing, so we ended up staying. But so I would have come here maybe a couple of years before Sean did and opened the gym.
Right. And was that? No, I'm going to get this. Like Colin. Was that when,
Colin Matthews?
Was he here when you came here?
He was. Colin was a student with Chris Jacuti.
And how did you meet them?
God, I don't know.
I assumed. See, that's why I assumed you were in university. You went here for
I'm
school
probably
with
at
them.
the wall. Probably at that wall because I used to climb there.
Yeah, and Jonathan
came later though. Yeah, for sure.
So Jonathan, I think actually that was probably the big change from like I was climbing with that group that was running CNS. That was Deb Stover and Harry Fisher and that group. And I think after that, like when I started climbing on the Dow wall, that I ran into Jonathan, you know, him and his high energy. That guy had just such great energy and he was so friendly. And he
always with a big grin on his face.
Yeah. We met at the wall and I think he invited me to go outside bouldering. Right. And I had no idea what bouldering was and like what that meant, you know, what it was all about.
Sure.
I did have shoes. I would have had climbing shoes at that point. The Fury Fires or something.
Oh, like Furies. Really?
Yeah, I think they were my first shoes.
Okay.
Really.
I know you became a fan of the Mythos, which I loved as well, those purple ones.
I had a real aversion to foot discomfort, so the Mythos really worked well.
That's me now.
Jonathan invited me out, said, hey, we're going to go out we went out to Duncan's Cove.
Yeah, one of those classic spots, coastal spots.
I don't recall the trip out or anything, but I do recall that's where I met you.
Oh, okay.
I'm certain that was the first time I had met you, and I believe maybe I suspect it was Dave was there.
Yeah, Dave Edgell. I used to climb a lot with Dave. Yeah,
and maybe Colin as well. And I don't.
That was the entire cast of climbers.
That was it.
Time.
Like that was my introduction to like.
Cool.
To that, and we went down to Duncan's Cove, and you guys got on the Robar boulder, which has moved since. Like it's less.
It used to be awesome.
It was awesome. It was crazy steep, but had holds on it.
I know
it was wildly
unusual
steep
for here.
And you guys I just remember you guys hopping on that thing and doing climbing that on such a steep angle completely blew my mind. The way you move your body on it, I was just like, oh my God, what is this? Because you're not just climbing a slab or a straight up face. You're like heel hooking and doing, these. I was like, thought you guys were Superman or something. I was
well, we were.
Yeah. And so that was my introduction to what you got, the level at which you guys were pushing things. I think before then I was really just dabbling in I don't think I understood how far you could go with how hard it could be and what it would take. And
you guys just kind of started in a little bubble here.
Yeah.
You learned from some books and it slowly got exposed to people who had experience elsewhere and Jonathan and others.
Exactly.
You're making me think of these early bouldering stories are fun and I think people might be interested in it, but you're making me think of our homemade pads in the early days.
Yes.
And I think I was the first one to build one, which I called Buddy. He still exists. He's in the Icebox over there. Nobody likes to use Buddy underneath him because he's a little bit soft. And then you made one
I did, yeah.
Did it have a name?
Cartman.
Cartman
He's
from
fat.
The Simpsons.
You're fat, Cartman.
Yeah. From South Park.
South Park, yeah.
Yeah,
South Park
but the
reference.
funniest one was Jonathan Graham, who we've been
La
talking
Cordienne.
about.
Was it
Yeah, exactly. La Cordienne.
La Cordienne, yeah.
He was walking down. It was like garbage day on Quimpool or something.
Yeah.
And someone had thrown out this old folding lawn chair
Yeah, it was
cushion.
like a 3-piece or
It
something.
would fold in neatly into 3 things, and
Yeah.
he rigged up some bit of duct tape and string or something, and he could carry it on his back.
That might have been, I can't remember
useless.
if you had Buddy at the time where we went out to Herring Cove or if we were just throwing down a piece of carpet, but I sort of I felt like Jonathan had La Cordienne there, which was barely anything. Like,
No,
they were not.
It was, yeah, if you think Buddy's bad, that was
It's
was
barely
awful.
comfortable to sit on,
Yeah.
let alone fall on.
Yeah, things have changed, man. Like the stack pads that everybody has and built up areas below. And
Yeah.
do people still spot outside, or has that gone away as well? I know I always found it weird in the gyms where you don't really spot people anymore. You used to.
Yeah, I don't know if people are spotting much outside.
Oh, they must be.
They must
I hope
be.
so.
I would hope. Yeah. Although I think there's a lot of people that go out alone. Like I think there's a whole bunch of loners out there going out with their pads, and I was never much of a loner for that, but
You're a social guy.
yeah. But Digby taught me, being in Digby during COVID, alone down there, sort of taught me, developed a new way of approaching problems. And I wouldn't even say I was working them. I would like pull on and be like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I can, I didn't even feel like I was going to fall, but I would figure out if I was going to fall, where it was. And then you pull onto holds a bunch of times. You really are working it. I mean, that's how some people work problems. You just pull on and hold a position, and that's everything. That's the Ben Smith style, right? Like, that's how he would beat something into attrition, by just like pulling on and holding a position.
I went climbing with bouldering with Hannah and Mike Cheng, I think his name is Mike.
Hannah, who I think learned to project with Ben Smith.
Okay,
yeah,
well,
does that make sense?
Yeah, well, it was a fun day. We were playing on Smurley, if you know this problem.
Yeah.
Really hard, like way too hard for me, really.
Yeah, scary.
We were all, we would take turns and just kind of like hold the move.
Yeah,
and that was progress, just holding the thing. And then we tried this next move. We'll hold that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, okay, this is bouldering, huh?
Yeah, at a certain level. Level.
Yeah. Well, I gotta pick Hannah's brain. I've been trying to get her on this thing, and she can teach me all about the new world of bouldering.
Yeah,
the current state. I
think that's a style of projecting. I mean, holding a grip is nice, but moving on rock is also nice. Yeah. So I prefer to do projects that are more at the edge of my, at the edge of like, where I can put in a couple sessions and make progress on each session and be like,
and feeling that flow of climbing, which.
Yeah, like volume. I'll go back and I like repeating stuff that I've done long ago. It's really nice to see if you can get that recall back. And yeah, I don't like if you do a thing and then you just walk away from it and you never go back to it. I like going back to things.
There's some things I kind of like walking away sometimes. Like, I have gone back to things. I'm thinking of routes in my mind. I've had some amazing experiences on a particular route, and then I go back thinking I'll recreate that experience, which is a culmination of all kinds of things, just like setting and the vibe and whatever was happening. And sometimes it's a letdown, So there's some experiences where I'm like, that was awesome. I don't even want to try to repeat that because it was just so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I can totally see that. More for me, it's almost as much like I go back and like try to gauge where I'm at as I get older. Went out to Bop Gun the other day out in LOC.
Nice.
But after we went there, we went to width of a circle, and it was really fun just to be able to pull on and be like, what is that position? What does my knee have to do? Where's my foot? What are my shoulders? Where, like, how do I get on and pull myself into this place to be able to move my hand? And it was fun to be able to have that recall of like, I don't remember I was like, until I was on it, I couldn't remember the beta.
It's like a visceral kind of echo or something.
Yeah, and when you get into that position again, you're like, oh yeah, that's the place. Oh, this is how I'm moving my body. That's why I can be in here. Oh, right. Cool. So I'm still learning from trying to do it again. I'm learning more about rock climbing even now.
Yeah, well, I was wondering if you go back to some of these problems that maybe you'd done 10 years ago when you're perhaps stronger, but you've learned a lot more about body position and efficiency and technique and stuff. So in many ways, you're climbing it in a different way, you know?
Yeah.
It's
a different body. I have
It's a different body. Yeah. Interesting. I wanted to ask you about this because it's kind of relevant to what you're saying, I think. There seems to be a predominance of people using beta videos to understand how to approach a problem before they even get on it. At least that's my perception.
Yeah.
There seems to be a lot of videos available out there for specific problems. And, you know, I think people use those to maybe fast track the beta, but they're perhaps missing part of the experience is my sense. But what I want to hear from you.
Absolutely. Anecdotally, a great example of that this past summer down in Digby, we go in, there's a crew working around a boulder with has Operation Bronze God on it. There was a crew of people down there.
Who put that up? That sounds like a fun name.
That's a great name.
Who put it up?
That's a Rob Grandy special.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Backdoor Randy.
Yeah, Backdoor Randy. So we were warming up and I was like, okay, I was feeling pretty good. I was like, man, I want to go down and do that problem. I haven't done it in a long time. There's a bunch of pads down there. There's a crew of people. I'm just going to go insert myself into this crew who I don't know. They've never seen them around.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just going to insert myself in, see if I can get on this problem, see if I can slip into the rotation.
Yeah. Did you have to take your shirt off for that?
No, definitely not. I am not a shirt off guy. This body is, nobody wants to see that. But anyway, I started climbing with this crew and they were from Ontario and, there was like 8 of them or something like that. Big crew. Super fun. Really, really fun crew. We did that. A bunch of us did that really quickly. Bronze God. Then I was like, I like to try to do every problem on this boulder in one session. So that's what I started doing.
Goal, yep.
So we went in and got into Advanced Human Society. And one of the guys, we threw the pads in and a couple of them did it super fast. Like first go, flashed it. And I was like, that's incredible because it's weird beta, right? And they just seemed to know it right away. Like they just fell into it. They did it and they're super strong on it. I was like, oh, that's amazing. Wow, you really read that super well. And they were like, well, we watched half a dozen videos over and over again before coming. And I was like, first I was surprised that there were that many videos. I was like, where are these videos? I have not seen them.
Right.
But I was like, oh wow, they watch the videos, they do the problem. It's over and done with really quickly.
Yeah.
So
they can do more problems, I guess. They can do another one instead of
They can do another one, which is great if you're traveling. That's really fun.
Yeah.
But also you miss something as well in that the journey of figuring it out and working it out.
It seems to me too that sometimes it becomes unintentionally perhaps, but it becomes the gospel in terms of how you're supposed to do something.
Yeah.
Oh, no. You're supposed to hold it this way. Yeah. Or you start with your hands crossed or something. I'm just making that up, but.
Yeah. The prescribed beta. This is the, and you, if that's the only way, if that's how you approach going out bouldering and climbing, you see the video, you're like, oh, I watch a video, so now I know what it looks like. You spend a lot less time figuring out how to do something on your own.
Totally.
Do you know?
Yeah,
Does
oh,
that
yeah.
make sense? Like, and I think you miss something. Like, there's a learning experience. Part of that too is you sort of miss out on the creative process of
Totally,
it.
yeah.
Like, that's when I develop stuff. Like when I go and look at a boulder that doesn't have anything on it, maybe I see it differently because I've always learned to climb, look for the holds and think about the positions that move across that, where somebody watches a video doesn't have to think that way. They haven't trained their brain to look for that. So maybe they're
Right.
not going to develop new
So
problems,
it's
or they won't.
in a way, it's a skill set that maybe, or a muscle that people don't get a chance to develop. But it's also an experience that's super fun. You know,
Yeah.
it's a lot of people enjoy that puzzle aspect of climbing to just kind of unlock those things in your body. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
So you started talking about climbing in the LOC and doing bobcan there. I think you were with Sean and others early days developing that whole area.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Eastern Tide, which kind of started to document some of that stuff. But any favorite memories of new problems going up there, or mishaps or learnings?
It's funny. The other day we were out and we were out in the LOC just the other day, and I'd like tried. Somebody asked about first descents or like problems I had put up, and I was like, "Oh, I
can't remember.
I don't think I put any of them up
in the LOC."
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because I was climbing with you guys, like you and Therian and Jonathan. You were all better than me, so much better than me. You had been climbing longer, and you had learned in different, like, well, maybe I don't know where Jonathan came from, but you came from Ontario. I think you had better access to, like, you had better access to climbing in gyms and more structured climbing. Your learning curve was much faster, so you also were stronger. You guys were all just better than me. Like, I'm a very average rock climber. So, and I
keep at
it. Maybe someday.
And you've gotten pretty good, I would say.
Yeah. But I think, but the community's gotten so much better as well. Like, people get better faster than we ever did.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, so to that, you know, I was always climbing you guys. I was always just following.
Right.
So
you were trying to repeat whatever we were working on.
Or we were working things together, and you guys would do it, and then we'd move on to the next thing, and I wouldn't have done it. And so I had a lot of things left undone for a very long time.
Nice, yeah.
Because everyone was looking for the next thing, and I was sort of getting left behind. And like, so some of this, like the guidebook, especially the Halifax one, a lot of it was me.
Oh, very cool.
Going back and committing to doing problems that I had left behind, that everyone else had done, and I had never been able to do. And I was like, now I'm going to do this for me. I'm going to do this. Like Sean's problem, your problem at Andy's area, and right below Shabukto Head.
Yeah. It's kind of cool, eh?
I love that problem.
It's weird.
That is so cool. That is such a great problem, and it's not over once you do the crux. Like the coming around is heady, and it's great. Like that one at Herring Cove, Tomb with a View. I've never done it. You know, once everyone else had done something, it's hard to convince everyone to give up a day and go back and spot you on something they've already
but you
done.
have all those wonderful things to do again, and you must have, you know, running with that group, you would have advanced your skills quicker, I think, being challenged by climbing harder things. Would you say?
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
even though you didn't understand the problems, you were getting better at climbing.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't. Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't have any regrets for it. It was just like how it happened. You know, it was good that I was lucky that I got to climb with people that were so much better than me, and the things I learned by climbing with you guys, it was amazing.
Cool.
But I've now forgotten what the real question was you just asked. What was it? It
doesn't really matter, I don't think. Well, I was getting let's keep going.
What were you getting to there?
Well, at some point in there, you were inspired to document. You were inspired to use your. I think you were at 22 minutes at that point with some film editing, passion and experience, and you took that energy to document Nova Scotia bouldering. In many ways, put it on the map. And the end product was a film called Eastern Tide, which, like, the climbers these days may or may not know about it. I know you did a screening alongside Emily Curry with her 20 grit.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell us about the inspiration behind that and kind of where that film went, because it was pretty cool.
It was, yeah. Oh man.
And what year was that? That was like 2002. 2002.
Is that right? Is it?
Because Kira was just born. I remember that.
Yeah, and I was thinking 2001. I was thinking 2001, so it was when
you were filming, probably.
Yeah. So I think 2000, 99, 2000, somewhere in there is when
that's
first,
a quarter century ago, man.
It's wild, eh? You know what? It's funny. I think what did we watch? Like Therian had all these. He had a bunch of like VHS movies of like these pretty low quality films, but they were like.
You mean ones that he made, or ones like
no, like of like other
Masters
people
of
had
Stone
made.
or shit?
Yeah, exactly. Masters of Stone and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was sort of like when I was growing up, there was skateboard videos. You'd get a VHS copy of a VHS copy of like of some skateboard video, and it's just a bunch of
grainy.
It's like it's a crew doing tricks, having fun, sort of character stories. These are these characters doing these things, and they get into misadventures. You know, we're gonna go grind this rail at the museum and get kicked out or something. Yeah. You know, like those are the really loose stories, but you know, it was skateboard porn, and you know, and I was like, and when
were
I saw
you a skateboarder?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Were
you a porn star?
No, definitely not. But there you had a bunch of those climbing ones that were kind of like that. You know, it's just a bunch of rock climbing. They're not these crazy deep stories, but it's just a bunch of characters doing this thing that you like, that you find interesting, you like to do. So we watched those, and I had seen Free Waco by Alex Lowell did that. And I was like, oh, that's a great story about bouldering. And we had just found the LOC, you know, and bouldering was just starting to take off. Like it was like, oh, now we're not just going out and doing this as an in between the seasons. We're going out looking for boulders specifically to do bouldering. It's not something to pass the time while you wait for a rope season to come in. It was its own pursuit. And we were finding a lot of areas at that time. And I was like, man, it would be great just to capture that energy, to try to grab this moment in time and document it. This is before YouTube. This is long, long before YouTube. A cell phone, you barely had a flip phone at that time. Like, you know, they were bricks. You know, nobody had cell phones. It was, you know, cameras were big cameras, but it was that time where they started shrinking cameras. They got the technology where you could shrink a professional broadcast camera down a little bit smaller, make it a little bit more affordable. I think my first camera was $8,000 or something like that I spent on it, which was a lot of money at the time, but like it wasn't 200,000, which is what some other cameras could cost, right? So I invested in the gear, and I was like, I'm just going to commit to a full year of filming. I'm just going to take the summer off, not look for work that summer. I think we started in that spring. And I just, every day somebody was going out to a new area, I went out with, and I started sort of collecting those stories, had a very vague idea of what I was doing, how I would put it all together. It was going to be a bunch of, and I think it kind of reads a little bit like a bunch of like little short.
Yeah, there was chapters to it, wasn't there?
Yeah, little chapters of each area that we would go to through the season. You would get a sense of this community, where they would go, and sort of somebody that had an interesting connection to that particular area, that liked it for a particular reason. And then amongst that is all like the LOC development, finding the LOC, and that story of like finding that and then finishing with that, which is with the circles, the one that finishes the movie with just Therian doing that. And it's like the first, when we drove out that road and pulled off to the side and said, let's head up to that boulder up at the top of the hill. We went past Legends of the Fall area. We went past Width of a Circle, and Therian, it caught his eye at that time, but not, I didn't know that we spent much time on it. I don't recall, but like that's the loop. That's the coming back to that very first problem we saw is the last one he does in the thing and brings it full circle. Yeah, so that was my goal. Like Eastern Tide, I wanted to, I just wanted to, like, it just felt, you could sort of, like Free Waco, like when they were doing Free Waco and Obi Carrion and Chris Sharma, and they're like they're going into these weird places and finding these new problems, like nobody had done them before. And the energy that they had, I could see that reflected in our community. And I'm like, I want to grab that. Like, I want to grab that. It felt so rare and so special to be able to. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
I do.
It was so new. Like, it was such a new idea. There wasn't anyone else doing this thing, and the community was small but growing a little bit. And you kind of
sort of a vanguard of sorts, kind of pushing into a new frontier. You know what makes me think of is like Obi and Sharma.
Yeah,
the pros or the future pros. I guess they were pros at that time. But anyway, they're on the cutting edge of bouldering levels on the planet, let's say.
Yeah.
But what they were doing, I'm fascinated by the experience that the pros are having. I mean, it's not that much different than what us Bumbleys were doing in the LOC.
No.
You know what I mean?
Just
that's the same kind of energy and rewards and challenges.
I think that's what's great about, climbing can be great at any level. Like if you climb super hard, like no matter how hard you climb, you're always pushing past that area, and I think of it, there's a bracket of difficulty of climbing that one in bouldering anyway. There's a bracket, sort of a range, if you will, that you enjoy climbing at, right?
Not too easy, not too hard.
That's
hard
right. That you truly enjoy climbing at, and that range slides. It moves. If you're climbing Sharma, you're climbing V15. You're not getting on a V5 and enjoying it.
Yeah,
not really, not in the same way.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But if you're climbing V5, it's great. You're enjoying it the same way that somebody climbing at V13 or V15 is enjoying the range that they're climbing at. It's the same feeling. You just the better you get, you just move that further along.
And it's important to do hard. I think for all of us, for our own development and excitement about living, it's important to do hard things, to challenge yourself. And you might be challenging yourself at a V5 level. Chris is challenging himself at a V15 level.
Yeah.
It's relatively hard.
Yeah,
at the same time.
But to your point, it does. I think it does feel the same. It feels, from a personal level, it feels this. We get the same amount out of it.
Although we are conjecturing what it feels like to be climbing at a V15 level. You know what I mean?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know what it's like to be Chris Sharma and doing that stuff. But like from a personal level, I think you have the range. It's all about that range of pushing yourself and what you enjoy climbing at. What's pushing your limits, what's Mick says. Mick's got a saying. We put it up on the wall in the bulk barn. Mick Levin quote, if you feel good about yourself, you're not trying hard enough. And I think that in a cheeky way, that sums up bouldering, doesn't it? Like, that's kind of what bouldering is. If it goes too easy,
what is it? If you feel
good about yourself,
you're not trying
hard enough.
Okay.
Which is a little bit like, I'm supposed to feel bad about myself.
I don't subscribe to that approach.
No, it's funny. It's funny, but it is kind of true in a way that, it's like, Oh yeah, like you can always, if you do something, we're always looking for the next hard challenge. In bouldering, I'm always looking for the next hard thing. You move on really fast, right? I think that's climbing. You're always moving on to the next thing, looking for that next fix,
for
of
sure.
the drug. If your motivation is to climb harder, then you're always getting and chasing a grade or being like comparing yourself to what somebody else is doing, then yeah, you're not going to get as much enjoyment out of climbing lower grades. If both your motivations are the same and you're comparing yourself to them, then definitely they're having more fun. But if you're not comparing yourself to them, if you're just in it for you, then you're having as much fun as anyone else. And I've always climbed with people that were better than me.
It's the best way to do it, really.
Well, and everyone's always better than me. And so I think maybe years of that have taught me not to compare myself to what other people are doing and just enjoy being out there. I'm happy now if I can go out and climb, a V4 to V6. I'm pretty stoked.
And that's a happy place for you to take on those kind of projects.
There's so much climbing in that range.
There is.
There's so much climbing in that range. And it's not something that people be like, that's like
a nice
I don't have people calling me up and asking me to sponsor me for climbing these problems, right?
Yeah.
There's no more money. I'm like, I'm doing it for myself. Who cares? There's no fame. There's no fortune. I'm doing it because it was great to do it,
So it seems like you're advocating for finding joy in what most would consider moderate kind of range problems.
It's great. Rock climbing's super fun, especially and honestly in that range, what do I know about climbing at V10? I've never done it. The hardest thing I've done is like V8, talking a couple, but the way you get to move your body in that range, it feels like, you get to take advantage of drop knees. You're not doing drop knees, heel hooks. You get to compress. You get to move in a very interesting way.
Yeah, cool.
You kind of get to do all the classic prescribed body position movements and all the tricks that make rock climbing. You get to climb on really interesting holds in that range. It's not all just
real holds.
It's not all jug hauls. Like the positions are interesting. And I just like.
Do you think people are missing that? Because what I find amazing is how strong climbers are coming out of the gyms these days. Like you mentioned it earlier. Like there's so many facilities now, information, videos, trainers, all of it, and it's remarkable how quickly people become very competent climbers and boulders, powerful and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying that people might be missing the fun in that kind of more, let's call it a moderate range of V4 to V7 or whatever you want to pick? Is it were you hinting at that at all? Or?
Maybe. I can't say for sure.
And I'm not making fun of you for that. I mean, that's the kind of range I'm at too, right? Like
I think you know what? I'll go out on a limb and I'll say for here in Nova Scotia, I think that the greatest, like some of the best, the volume of it. The volume of good climbing and interesting climbing is likely in that range. Like I think there's actually I know that there's some stuff that's in that like 8 V7 V8 V9 that's a little beyond me that I have to put a lot more work into doing. That is still very good.
Yeah,
there's some of it that's still very good. But if you're climbing V4 to V6 in this province, man, there's so much good rock climbing for you. And I think the volume of it is more than, I think our rock style generally, and this is just a generalization, I think as it gets harder, generally, this is not for everything, you get less holds, they get shittier, they get more nuanced about like how you grab a particular rounded edge, a sloper or lack of hold.
Well, my chat with Dave Quinn, he talks a lot about that. as he has escalated through the grades. I mean, he's chasing V13, V14
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And he talks exactly about that the holds are diminishing in size and increasing in difficulty and nuance, where if you want to grab some nice holds, if you're too strong, you are your own worst enemy here, because it's you know what I mean? Like
yeah, in a way. And I would say, like, I can't speak for Dave, but you don't see people at that level going to a place where and like spending a lot of days climbing V4 or V5. They're not learning anything new from it. They're not having a new experience. They're not, they're not putting themselves in. They're so strong that it just feels too easy. It's like climbing a ladder. It's not.
This is an argument for not training, to keep yourself
Oh,
mediocre,
yeah, absolutely,
so that everything is challenging for you at the lowest levels. Well, the other guest question was Rich, and again, it's kind of like your longevity in the sport.
Yeah,
and he's curious about how you keep yourself relatively healthy and not get injured. I mean, you actually just mentioned you have had a number of injuries in the past, but yeah, what's your thoughts on staying injury free, and how does training fit in the mix of your climbing lifestyle?
I'll say from the standpoint of a modern way of thinking of training, where you're doing things other than rock climbing to be better at rock climbing. I don't do that. I only rock climb.
Yeah.
I don't like that sort of like going. I find hangboarding stifling. I find, I haven't really got into, I don't really like lifting weights. I don't really enjoy going into a gym like that, like a weight gym or something like that. Yeah. It's not something I enjoy. I like being outside, but I also like the climbing gyms. I like the movement. I want to be moving. Yeah. There's so many things I think I could do to improve my rock climbing if I were that type of person. I know who I am. I know what I like. I don't compare myself to anyone else any longer. I think when I was younger, when I was new to climbing, you can't help it. You see, the media tells you that this is what you should be doing, that this is what rock climbing is, this is how you should be striving for that. And I think I did that for a long time. I had injuries. I tried training, I guess, in the gym is whatever it was back in the day, which was poor. You're doing the hangboards, you're doing this, trying to do system boards and stuff like that. And I did all that stuff, and I still ended up, you end up injured. Now I'm okay with who I am and how hard I'm climbing, because it's still a lot of fun. If I wasn't having fun, then I would then maybe I'd be like, it's easy to say because I'm climbing pretty average, but I'm pretty happy with the average. There's lots of rock climbs for me to do.
Tons.
There's so much for me to do. If I ran out of things to do, maybe I would start to feel differently about it.
So you're subscribing to a life of moderation.
A life of moderation, yeah. I want even Steven, no up and downs. Keep it level. Choose easy. I want to. But I'd say choose easy, but then I go out and I'll put myself on a project and I want to be challenged. But you know what I'm saying? Like
it's making me like, you don't really choose easy. Like with these guidebook projects, like you invited me to join you on this latest Eastern Shore thing, and I joined you for a day out at Gibraltar, and it was like -10 degrees with a wind chill. It felt like -20.
It's pretty miserable.
It was a gorgeous day, like super sunny, snow in the woods. It was beautiful.
There was that the air was crystally almost that day. Remember the light beams that come through, and that
it was gorgeous. It was a gorgeous day.
Yeah, I love that day. That was beautiful.
But it's hard. Hard living, it was uncomfortable. You're grinding away out there, really for the benefit of a lot of folks listening to this and just the climbing community as a whole, and I think a lot of people are impressed with your perseverance and your energy to get out there and you're not taking the easy path.
No, that's true.
Friend.
That's true.
You just choose a different kind of hard. you
a
know?
different kind of hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to create too. I think that
Yeah, okay.
I think that that's always been important for me. I think that's why I did Eastern Tide, and I was able to take that film. It went to the Banff Mountain Film
Yeah,
Festival.
right, yeah.
I toured
Yep.
like a short version of that. Went in the Banff Mountain Film Festival. I went out to Banff. We presented it. A huge percentage of the climbs that you see in Eastern Tide are either first ascents or repeats by the first ascensionists.
Oh, neat. Huh.
Yeah. So I really
A
tried to
moment
do.
in time.
Yeah, I really tried to do that, to like get that, and
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah.
And you took it also to the well, what was cool is that it became part of the Banff Film Festival tour. It was picked
it
for
toured the
that.
world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is a crazy.
Um,
And it opened kind of opened up, I would say, Dover Island in particular,
Yeah,
because of
yeah,
the stunning
yeah.
setting.
yeah.
That's drawn international interest.
Yeah.
I think directly from that film.
And so after it went on the Banff Mountain Film Festival World Tour, it went into they would package their favorite films into a 1 hour film or 1 or 2 hour thing, and they would play it at all these resorts.
Oh, no way.
It'd be like a ski resort in Vermont. It would play on their closed circuit television. And I think after the first year of its tour and in that program, it was over 1 million people had seen it.
Dude.
That's incredible.
Is that the short or the full
The
version?
short one, yeah.
And I mean, just to interject my own contributions to that film.
Yes,
you commissioned me for, I think you paid me, you bought me a hard drive for my computer to be able to do this. I don't think I got any swag, but anyways, yeah. So I got a chance to write the soundtrack for the short.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it had gone that far around the world. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we've talked, one of my questions for you was, are you a rope climber or are you a boulderer? And I think maybe we've answered that question because we've talked for almost 2 hours about bouldering.
It's because it's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, right.
It suits me right now. But I started out climbing ropes. I think then there was a time where I was shooting Eastern Tide, that's all I did was bouldering. And then when I finished that, I went back to rope climbing. It's fun. It's funny. Yeah, I think people see me as a boulderer, but when Alec and I started the rope guide, he did up a chart, a big spreadsheet. And it turns out that I'm the most prolific route developer in the province. I don't think anyone has... If Therian or you had, I think you and Therian were real close seconds, as far as route development goes. But I don't know that there's anyone else that's put up even since then.
You told me that when we were bouldering in the winter there, and it kind of it surprised me right off the get go. I was like,
it
what?
surprised
Really?
me too.
But then you're like, okay, well, you were really going at it pretty hard there for a few years. Like you and Sean were at the spot, and then you moved to the castle. You did stuff at Main Base and Cape Clear. Like you have been all over. So it's cool to.
I think I've got a route at every crag. Therian introduced me to route development. Gave me the bug. And that became I guess that was my creative outlet after doing Eastern Tide. Route development became my creative outlet. And I did that for a long
10 or 12
time.
years
And then finding the joy in bouldering again. And that's what I'm doing now. And I'll, who's to say? I'll probably return to rope climbing. I bought a new harness the other day because I realized I pulled mine out and I was like, oh God, I shouldn't even be cleaning a route or
there you go.
a boulder problem on that harness anymore. So I need a new harness. And I like rope climbing. Samantha's interview actually got me very excited again to.
Oh, what's really funny is I think Samantha's interview was great. I think she inspired a lot of people, myself included. Sean Therian mentioned that after Samantha's interview, he was so inspired. And Sean, for people listening, Sean's been out of climbing for a few years now. He went down to his garage and stared at his rack for 20 minutes. Which is the equivalent of you getting a new harness.
Yeah.
So yeah, Samantha,
I can so picture
on
that
ya.
too. Like I could just visually see him looking
Totally.
just like
sort of
torn.
forlornly
Just-
looking at
yeah,
this thing.
just
Do
like-
I dare do this again?
And Todd Foster 2.0 is a more skilled rock climber than Todd Foster 1.0.
For sure.
And
for sure.
and now I'm leaning into those
Todd
skills.
Foster 1.0 was an idiot.
Fuck, that guy. Man, I
hate
wish
that
I could
guy.
talk to him.
What would you tell? What would you tell that
What would
guy?
I tell?
What would you tell that guy?
I'd probably tell him to train.
Ah! But then he'd be like, "This sucks," and he wouldn't be climbing now. He'd be like, "Done."
No,
Tell him
I
the
don't. I
truth.
wouldn't.
No, really.
I wouldn't
what would
change.
you-
I wouldn't change anything. I would maybe.
You must have learned something.
Yeah, maybe I would. I'm more controlled now. I think about the times when I injured myself, where I did, the way I would have climbed before. I'm more calm. I'm more in control. I'm less worried about doing a thing because somebody else did it. If I don't feel like I'm
Right. If your finger's about to pop, you're not going to give it one more burn.
exactly, I don't
Yeah.
care. I don't care, and I'm not worried about. And why I did it before was I worried about, not even about like, maybe I was worried about what other people would think or comparing myself to somebody else, but even comparing yourself to yourself on another day. It's like, oh, I'm weaker than I used, like, oh, I'm weaker than this person, or oh, I'm weaker than I was. I got to try harder, instead of being in tune with being like, no, that was a good session. Like another session, and I'll do it because my body will be ready for it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you're not hard on yourself. You're not as hard on yourself.
I'm not as hard on myself.
perhaps you were before.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of a lot of wisdom but value in, I think, being comfortable with failure, and like, you could call it one prism on it would be failure, but
That's fine. Failure's not a bad word. It's how you learn.
Observing what went wrong or what went right given the circumstances you were dealing with. So that's cool. There is no failure in a way.
Yeah. And I think it's something I thought about a lot, was like, even when I'm saying I'm doing the guidebooks, when I first started climbing, I felt like I was always chasing everyone else. I was chasing their goals. Everyone else's goals were what I was following everyone else and their goals. And now I focus more on my own goals. What do I want to do for me? Fortunately, those goals often include, like, giving. My goals are to give back to the community, right? Making the guidebook, documenting that stuff is also, like, I get a creative process out of that. I get a lot of enjoyment out of it, but I get to give back. So that becomes my goal. It becomes my tick list. Like, I'm going to do these areas that everyone had done those problems in before me, and then we walked away from, and I hadn't been back to do them. Now doing the guidebooks become my motivation for doing them now. Now it's my goal to do them. It's my turn to do them. I'm really conscious. I thought about this the other day because I'm climbing with my friend Carlene.
What's Carlene's last name? You guys climbed quite a bit together, right?
Yeah, we met in the parking lot at Sandy Cove.
Yeah.
During COVID.
Cool.
Yeah. And she's become a great friend and a great climbing partner. And I'm very conscious with her of, like, she will follow wherever I want to go. She's like, whatever you want to do, that's great. And I'm always conscious of being like,
you're going to be dead soon. Let's do what you want to do.
She's happy to follow, but I'm always conscious of, like, don't fall into the trap that I fell into.
Oh, of following
somebody else's. Right. Are you sure I'm ready to leave, but let's stay for you.
Nice. Yeah.
I want to stay here for you. You should do this. I will stay as long as we need to for you to do it. Don't worry. Like, if I did this problem really fast, don't worry about it. I don't care to move on. Let's do it for you.
That's great.
If this is something you want to do, let's do it. Don't ever let me overlead you around.
Nice.
Make sure you feel comfortable saying what you want. Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about routes? We've talked a while here. Do you got like half hour more, maybe? It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Bullshitting about this stuff, isn't it?
It is. It's because I haven't really, there's a lot of things I hadn't really thought about. Thinking of like coming out, I was thinking a lot about like what climbing is meant to, all of it, like what my whole career, what's it meant to me.
Nice.
It's really, I think about it a lot. Why I do something, like why I'm doing this to myself, making this next guidebook feels so hard.
It looks hard, man.
It's so hard. The problems are so dirty. It is like you are going out and they might as well be first ascents. Like we have to scrub almost every problem needs to be rescrubbed, which is kind of fun in a way because I get to see it through the
you
fresh
are doing
eyes.
FA,
I'm sure there's a hold underneath all that moss because somebody's climbed this thing before. But anyway, you want to talk about rope climbing?
Yeah, well, let's jump into that. We don't have to spend hours on it, but well, you mentioned you have been one of, if not the most prolific route developer.
Mm-hmm.
Predominantly, I would guess sport routes, mostly bolted.
Yeah,
I would think. I feel like you and Sean really kind of hit the spot hard. And I was reading your guidebook earlier today or yesterday, and in your introduction, I think you talk about maybe the motivation, or you saw the opportunity to develop bolted climbs that were more accessible to folks that are new to getting outside. Because at that time, we had not a lot of sport routes. We had some sport routes, but most of them were hard. Like you had to kind of know what you're doing to launch up Slave to Fashion at first phase, for example. Talk to us a little bit about the motivation at that time to take that on. And the last point I want to make is written in your guidebook, you say that during that first season of development, you put more metal in that place than existed cumulatively elsewhere in the province up to that
yes, date. I think so.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. So two things to like, why did we develop, why so many sport routes? One is that if you went out, all the established crags had all been developed because you guys had all done all the trad routes beforehand. There were no other trad routes to be had. So we looked at the blank spaces between. That's where there were potential routes, where you couldn't put a piece of gear in a crack. So the cracks had all been climbed. So, if you wanted to put up new routes, it would make sense that there was more sport route potential than there was, because it wasn't something that people were doing. And maybe your perspective would be different on this, but it did feel like that we were pushing against the norms of climbing at the time. It felt like we were doing something that people didn't want us to do, that was frowned upon. Putting a bolt in the rock, or like, you're like, even I did it, and I've gone back and corrected it, where I put up mixed routes, where you're like, oh, you can put a piece in that lower section, but the top section's all bolts. So it'd be like all bolts at the top, but one piece at the bottom, and it'd be run out, and there would be a ground fall. We felt pressure not to put a bolt in down there from the community, from the tradition of the that was here. I don't think I'm wrong in my read on that. I think that it did feel like we were getting some pushback. There was a stout traditional style that prevailed here to a certain degree.
Well, I guess, my memory's fuzzy, but there were sport routes going up. Like there's not like
Willett was, kind of it. And I think you did put up some. Jonathan put up.
Like I bolted all the rage.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Chameleon. I put up that by then. Transformer was up.
Yeah, but there was more opportunity in putting up sport routes. The other thing I realized too is that I'd spent a long time. It felt like I'd climbed for a very long time and was not very good. I was not a very good rock climber as far as difficult. Like I was not a very strong climber. That climbing trad here, the learning curve, it took a very long time to get. Like if you spent half the day setting up a top rope anchor, you don't have that much time to climb. Like likewise, if you're hanging on a crack and you're like trying to fiddle in gear and learn that part of it, you're not physically getting strong very quickly. So when I went out, and the realization I had of that, the moment I had an aha moment. Therian and I went on my first, it was my first sport climbing trip. We went to the New River Gorge. And if you've never been to the New River Gorge, it's not the red. It is not, it has sport climbing, but it's not what people would call sport. It is
Really? I've
they're
climbed
run
at
out.
both those places. They
They're
seem
run out.
similar
They're
to
more
me.
bold. The routes are way more bold
Okay.
there.
Okay.
It's generally, way more bold routes, even though they're bolted. We went there, and I remember I can't remember the exact what the crag we were at. I had been climbing for a while at that point. I was getting my ass kicked on a 510A. And then we were there, and there was these couple ladies came through, and they throw down the rope. They're ripping up these roots, taking whippers, and I was just like, oh my God, they're just like
Big whippers, I guess.
Big whippers, and they're pushing, and I was just, whoa. And we chatted with them a little bit afterwards. They'd barely been climbing a year. And I was like, there was no gym there in that community. I don't think there's an indoor gym. So they're doing this outside rock climbing. So I'm comparing myself to somebody else that's been climbing a lot less time than me.
How did they get that comfortable that quickly?
Yeah. And that strong. But coming back from that, I was like, oh, the difference is they have a lot of quantity of 510, 511 sport routes. They can take whips without worrying about the gear blowing out, or how a crystal blowing apart and their gear pulling out, and and the gear, and it wasn't like you're not like hand jamming in something and you have like nerve damage at the end of the route. And I was
okay, I get the picture. You're not comfortable track climbing.
I felt like I was being held back from, just my read on it was like, oh, if you can put the technical side of that aside, you get stronger faster. And I was like, oh, sport climbing is great. Like I get to climb harder and do more interesting things faster. And I think we came back from that and then started, looking around at routes to putting up sport routes. And that became sort of the driver. And then I was like, yeah. And being able to add I was looking for that volume, I think initially, of like, I'm looking for 510s. I'm looking for that real accessible grade. People they don't have to make the jump from the 156 with bolts to the 511C.
Yeah, right.
Is
You're
the next
filling
in the gaps, like build the building blocks for people to get better
right
at climbing. And then, I think it's made I think it's made stronger climbers, made more accessible that way.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a very popular spot.
We just saw under all of that detritus that there were routes that you could do cool things, that there was don't look in the corners for the cracks, look out on the faces, look out on the arêtes. There's holds and movement, and yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like there were a lot of trad climbing. I mean, that's how places start everywhere.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
There was a much smaller number of sport climbs, but they existed, and people were developing those routes as well as trad routes. But also in between was the whole mixed climbing concept. And I think, I'm totally on board with if there's one or two pits where you could put a piece in and the whole route, there's 10 bolts beyond that, then it just makes sense to make it a sport climb. But if it's like, there's a blank section and I got to put a bolt in here, personally, I'm not in favor of okay, that means you can bolt everything on that route.
I think there's a lot of nuance to route development and how one looks at it. I've made choices both ways. I see it both ways. I'll flip-flop back and forth. One could take. I'll take a controversial point. I'll just say it. I don't know. I'll retract it later. I'm just talking shit. I would say this. I would say a trad climber is never happy clipping a bolt. A trad climber on a trad route, if they got to clip a bolt, that's not the part of the rock climb that they're romantic about.
Gosh.
So a trad climber gets no satisfaction on a route with one bolt, and a sport climber certainly doesn't get any satisfaction on a route with one piece.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
I don't know. I just talking shit. Like, that's not necessarily true, but you get the kind of point of like, yeah.
So,
but I'm not advocating for like, yeah, I wouldn't.
Do you think there's still a place for trad routes? It sounds
Yes.
like you're.
Yes,
Well, it sounds like you're not. You never really developed the taste for it, or the skills to do those routes and enjoy them. It sounds like. Is that fair?
I don't find our and this could be lack of. I don't want to say it's lack of experience, because there were only trad routes. We top roped all that shit forever. There was a financial barrier to getting into trad climbing early on, so we top roped a lot. Maybe that had some sort of effect on how I view that climbing. But I sort of I'm like, I don't know. I'm not saying I wouldn't say that the sport climbing is better here than the trad climbing. Like, if I were to say what's better, the sport climbing or trad climbing, I don't know that I would say it's better. I don't find often that the trad climbing's that great. Inconsistent cracks, flaring, full of crystals. I find it's not. I've been to I've been to places and trad climbed, like Vegas, Red Rocks.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, we've done a route or two there together.
You have to work to not keep your gear from getting into the cracks. Like, you have to keep, it just eats gear, and good, interesting constrictions and stuff like that. I find here, if you like the if you like the challenge of the puzzle of finding a placement and being, that's an acceptable amount of risk that I can take, that I believe that it will stay.
Yeah.
Then the trad climbing here is probably quite good. If you'd like if you know what I'm saying, like, they're not. It is. Am I wrong? Like, I mean, I think a lot of it is, but maybe that comes from, like I say, like that those early days, that's all I did was trad climbing, and I felt held back by.
But you probably weren't you were like I mean, like, for, I'm comfortable on trad, but I love sport climbing. To me, it's all just climbing,
Yeah.
And I mean, to me, there's some amazing trad routes out here. They're hard, like, climbing Ghost Dance or stuff out at Crow's Nest or Shiprock. There's an incredible.
I would not advocate for putting any bolts on anything on there.
Yeah,
it's nice to have top. We added anchors.
Yes.
To the top of those,
that makes sense. Yeah,
which is really nice. It makes it accessible, but doesn't change the climbing, the nature of the climbing, and that stuff is incredible. Like I have not climbed many of them, and the one that
you and I did one together.
Yeah, exactly. Is the one that you took me for that ride on.
Right. Yeah.
God, the worst part of that is trying to get a piece out that you so aptly jam into a crack, and then I felt like puking because I was so pumped trying to get it out because it's so steep. And
I think we need to get someone who's into trad on here to sell it a bit, because I know there's a lot of people coming up now that are interested in that style of climbing, and I think there's so many different ways to climb here, and now especially there's a plethora of routes of all different styles that should be available. I wouldn't want things to be whitewashed in a certain way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to trash talk trad climbing here.
Too late.
But I also don't wax poetic about it either. Like
Yeah.
they're not the routes that it just wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't for me. I don't know.
And
Like
there's nothing wrong with that.
yeah. I don't know.
That's
I didn't get wrapped up in it. But I own a rack. I have a very extensive rack now. Probably all of it needs to be reslung because it's also old. But like doing the guidebook, we went up to Cape Breton and we climbed a ton of trad routes at Black Brook.
Blackbird. Oh yeah.
All of that's trad.
Yeah.
And Alec and me climbed and led all those, like
good?
and they're great. They were fun.
Yeah.
Really a lot of fun.
Rock
Actually,
looks
I
pretty
found
cool
them quite good. My recollection is that there was nothing that we didn't do anything really hard, but we did lots, and we put up new routes there too.
Yeah, cool.
New trad routes.
Mm-hmm. Look at you. You're a trad climber.
I'll climb it. It's just, I guess Popcorn's a great route. Really fun. That's a fun adventure that I don't, I don't think you would get on a sport route per se, in
That's
the same
a great
way.
route. Yeah. Like 5.6, 5.7.
Yeah. Yeah, really fun.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm just more passionate about sport climbing because I like to create, and that's the palette that was available to paint on were the sport routes. And so I got really into that. That's what I like, and maybe that's it.
Would you typically top rope routes before you bolt them or send them, or how did that work into your approach?
No, generally not. A bit of it, I'll say, it's funny. I feel like it's a bit of a, it's a bit of a cheat in a way. It might be harder for somebody who does to on-site a route that I've bolted than it was for me to do it on the first descent.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Because I spend a lot of time considering the holds, right? I will have essentially worked a lot of the movements on top rope, even if I don't even have my climb. Like I wouldn't put my climbing shoes on. I'm doing them with boots on. So I'm like, pulling on holds and moving around. I've already considered the positions in a way. So I sort of already have pre-analyzed the beta on it before I get on.
Course,
I would usually have, at the very least, a bolt-to-bolt attempt. Like go up.
Yeah, right.
Like
From
if I'm
ground,
cool. Ground up,
Mm-hmm.
if I feel tired, I'll go bolt to bolt. Like I'm not, if it's not going to work, if I know that I'm like, I'm gonna, this move's going to be a little bit too hard to do on site, I'll sit on a bolt, take a second, even if I don't need to. Sometimes I'll just be like, no, I can feel it. I'm going to need to sit. I'll just sit. It'll be more efficient to sit at every bolt than to go up, get super pumped, get a flash pump, and then like have my day all screwed up because I pushed too hard before I was warm enough. So I'll warm up by going bolt to bolt.
Climbing a route for the first time, whether it's one you're putting up in the process of putting up or just climbing for the first time yourself. Like I love going bolt to bolt, it's like it's like doing like mini boulder problems between bolts, right? It's kind of what the way I see that.
You clip, you take, you shake out, you look around, you have a better look at something. As much as on-sighting is fun too, like on-sighting something, not knowing, just like casting out.
Yeah.
Going, you just deal with what you can find, what you grab initially, right? And
you kind of mentioned it there, and I mean, it's not a criticism at all. I've always felt that the first true ascent of a route is the second ascent. Oftentimes, someone who's on-sighting something, you're a creative artist in a way, finding the line, equipping the line, thinking through the safety points or risk tolerance levels or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's that next individual has that pure experience.
Yeah, they get to interpret it. Yeah, absolutely.
They don't have the previous knowledge of the holds, or even, in a trad sense, sometimes there's like hidden gear placements that the first ascent, the person that cleans it, they'll know about those little spots.
Yeah,
and if you're
absolutely.
On the sharp end for the first time, good luck.
Yeah.
It's a higher game. It's a more intense experience. But how about you've put up so many routes as we talked about.
Yeah.
What are some of the favorites that the routes that you're most proud of having put up?
That's interesting. That's a good question.
You probably haven't been on your lines or thought about this for quite a while.
God, there's so many lines.
Yeah.
And so many of them that are in that moderate range that I would do rather quickly.
There's a couple routes of yours that come to my mind as being really, really good ones.
Oh,
One being Taming of the Shrew
Taming of the Shrew is so good.
at the castle,
Yeah.
which is unreal. It feels like it's not really from this place. The quality of the holds, just the position and stuff.
Yeah.
Beautiful line. So that's like about a 10C, I think.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
And the other one I quite like, so that first one you did with Jack, I believe.
Yeah.
From the guidebook I looked at. And the other one I quite like is your contribution to first phase.
Yes.
Professor Diggs and the Berry Bandage or something.
Professor
and I think
Diggs and the Berry
You and
Bandage.
Mick put that up.
Yeah.
And that's another very accessible. It's like a 10, probably about the same, probably about 10C.
That one's such a great.
It's cool.
It's a great little climb.
Yeah.
What
I
a
love
nice-
that little wall at the top there.
Yeah. Yeah. What a nice, good holds through, sort of it weaves a little bit.
Yeah.
Weaves, goes up, goes right, then weaves left, traverses left a little bit, and then up and through.
Big scoopy jug at from the top.
Yeah, that's a good line.
It's really good. Well, this has been a lot of fun, man. Just gonna wrap it up. You've been around for a lot of Nova Scotia climbing history.
Yeah.
And you've seen the community grow in many different ways. What excites you about what's happening these days with the community?
I think, I guess we'll always compare to like we're talking outside rock climbing. I mean, it's exciting that we have as many gyms as we have.
Definitely.
Like we're really lucky, like that for such a small community that we have that much indoor climbing at our fingertips, and we have so much rock climbing outside as well. I think what excites me is every time I think, it's tapped out, there's nothing new to be found, we look in another obvious spot and find something else. And I think I'm kind of excited. I'm excited that there's what appears to be so many strong climbers coming out of the gym, and that there are so many of them that are also passionate about outside rock climbing.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of people talk to me in the way that they're passionate about outside climbing, like I'm passionate about it. I feel good about that. There's a whole other generation of people that are coming out of the gym they're just as excited about it and want to give back in the same way that I like to give back.
Nice. It's an exciting time for sure.
We're so lucky. We're so lucky in this province.
It's pretty darn cool. And I think all of us are lucky to have you out there churning away and making this stuff available for all of us. It's had a real impact for sure, Todd. So thanks for those efforts.
I hope it's positive.
Definitely. Thanks a lot, Todd, and thanks to everyone here for listening. I hope you enjoyed that trip down memory lane for the two of us. And as always, big thanks to Climb Nova Scotia for supporting the podcast, along with Unfiltered Brewing, 7 Bays Bouldering, and East Peak Climbing. Catch you all later.
And now I'm 50. Oh God, I've forgotten my age. 50. 53?
This is senility setting in.
Yeah, this is it. 50 plus, we'll say.
Oh, yeah, how old am I? Can you pick up some more diapers on your way home? You and your drop knees. Get out of here.